Have you ever wondered why the world feels divided into two completely different realities? One where people live in extreme luxury, surrounded by wealth, comfort, and endless opportunities, and another where millions struggle every single day just to survive, where even basic needs feel like a distant dream. Why does this gap exist? Is it just luck, or is there something deeper behind it? Something hidden, something strategic? What if I told you that the richest countries in the world were not always rich, that many of them were once struggling, uncertain, and even close to failure? So what changed? What decisions turned them into global powerhouses? And most importantly, what secrets are they hiding that others fail to understand? Today, we are about to take you on a journey across the world, exploring the top 5 richest countries, not just by numbers, but by their real stories, their rise, their struggles, and the decisions that changed their destiny forever. Welcome to Z Mystery, where reality is often stranger than fiction. Make sure you watch till the end, because each country on this list carries a powerful lesson, and the number 1 might completely change the way you see the world. To truly understand wealth, we need to look beyond total GDP and focus on something more revealing, GDP per capita, which shows how much wealth an average person earns in a country, and that's where the real story begins. Let's start with Norway. Today, Norway is one of the richest and happiest countries in the world, but it wasn't always like this. Before the 1960s, Norway had a relatively modest economy, nothing extraordinary. But everything changed in 1969 when massive oil reserves were discovered in the North Sea. Now here's the interesting part. Many countries have discovered oil, but not all of them became rich. So what did Norway do differently? Instead of spending all their oil money immediately, Norway made a bold and intelligent decision. They created a massive national investment fund, known today as the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. They invested their money globally, saved for future generations, and focused heavily on education, healthcare, and public welfare. Corruption was kept almost non-existent. Transparency became their strength. And today, Norway is not just rich, it's a model for how to manage wealth wisely. Now let's move to Ireland. Ireland's story is nothing short of a miracle. Back in the 1980s, Ireland was considered one of the poorest countries in Europe. Unemployment was high, people were leaving the country in search of better opportunities. But then, everything changed. Ireland introduced one of the most business-friendly tax systems in the world. They invited global companies to invest, and the response was massive. Tech giants like Google and Apple established their European headquarters there. This sudden economic boom became known as the Celtic Tiger, and within a few decades, Ireland transformed into one of the richest nations on Earth. Now let's talk about Singapore. Singapore is perhaps one of the most inspiring stories in modern history. In 1965, when Singapore became independent, it had almost nothing. No natural resources, no oil, no gas, just uncertainty, poverty, and a fragile future. But then came a leader who would change everything, Lee Kuan Yew. Through strict laws, zero tolerance for corruption, and a strong focus on education and discipline, he reshaped Singapore. He turned it into one of the world's most important financial and trade hubs. Today, Singapore stands as a symbol of what vision and leadership can achieve. Now let's move to Luxembourg, a tiny country so small that many people barely notice it on the map. But when it comes to wealth, Luxembourg is a giant. Instead of relying on natural resources, Luxembourg built its strength in banking and finance. It created a safe and attractive environment for global investors, strong financial laws, stability, and trust. As a result, money from all over the world started flowing into Luxembourg, and today it has one of the highest incomes per person globally. And now, the number 1, Qatar. Once a quiet desert nation with very limited development, Qatar's destiny changed when massive natural gas reserves were discovered in the late 20th century. These reserves turned Qatar into one of the richest countries in the world. But again, resources alone were not the key. Qatar invested heavily in infrastructure, modern cities, world-class facilities. They didn't just keep their wealth, they multiplied it through global investments. And to establish their global identity, they hosted one of the biggest events on Earth, the FIFA World Cup 2022, which brought the entire world's attention to this small but powerful nation. Now, if you look closely at all these countries, you'll notice something powerful. They didn't just rely on luck. They didn't just depend on resources. They had vision, planning, discipline, and honesty. Because the truth is, wealth is not just about what you have, it's about how you use it. And that brings us to an important question. Can other countries follow the same path? Can nations struggling today become the success stories of tomorrow? The answer is simple. Yes, but only if the right decisions are made. If you found this video eye-opening, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Z Mystery, because here we uncover the truths, the mysteries, and the realities that most people never see. Until next time, stay curious, stay aware. Goodbye.